Hey, so I thought I would do something interesting. I'm always there to give advice, and when I'm on Twitch, I was like people coming in and asking. But I've noticed on Reddit, a lot of people posting the D&D subreddit asking for advice, asking for, some help in situations, and I thought maybe I look at some of those questions, give my 2 cents on them, and let you guys all see how I feel about things. See if you agree with my assessment, if you take it to heart, and maybe it'll help you out a little bit. And that way, it's right there for you guys at any time. So I found like 10 of them that I thought were pretty interesting, at least by the title. So we'll give them a read, and then I'll give my advice on them. So we have a bare minimum for my first session, 5e. So I have no experience with D&D at all. I've just been trying to learn from watching vids so far. I wanted DM to start, and I found people who'd want to join. I just want to know the absolute minimum I need to know to run a session. So just to stop there, if you've never played before, and you're going to take on the DM role, that's quite a bit. So good for you. You're always going to find people who are going to want to play. Make sure you're going to want to play with them. That's key for all DMs. Moving on. Learning the rules is important, so I've been working on that. It is important. So if you have a bunch of new players who've never played and you've never played, you can kind of learn together. Make sure you have the books around, maybe some printouts, write some notes. There's a lot of things you can have to have around. Make sure you start slow. Make sure your players know their class so they can bring some information to the table. And don't be afraid to take leveling up slowly. And when somebody does level up, when the group does, make sure everyone's comfortable at level 2 and then level 3. No rush. So I've been working on that. I know I'll need to make stat blocks, which shouldn't be too hard. And I know about plot hooks and stuff. I don't know if it'd be considered homebrew, but I want to run a campaign in a world of a game I know in and out. I feel this will help with the RPing aspect of D&D. I have RP'd for quite a while, so I'm not too worried about that part. I just feel like there's a lot I need to learn, so I don't want to miss anything before starting. So, interesting concept that he thinks he needs to roleplay in a world he's aware of, so the roleplaying goes fine. I disagree. I think you need to be more aware of the adventure you're running, and everything outlined in that. Knowing the world you're playing in is great. Being able to RP as the characters in it are great. But if you don't have a story, which is truly what you're telling as a dungeon master, you're telling a story. If you don't have a story mapped out, if you don't have the rooms, the NPCs, the inns, the items, the surroundings mapped out and ready, you're going to struggle. So, I would suggest he takes his time, writes out what the story is going to be, flesh it out, be comfortable with it. Add in your difficulty check numbers. Add in the monsters and stuff like that. Make sure you know, okay, this is what's going on, so on and so forth. You're telling a story. You're a storyteller. Take it slow. It'll be okay. Everyone learns. If you are playing with experienced players, I think being a DM would be a mistake. You're going to have a bunch of players who are going to know the ins and outs. Depending on how nice they are at the table, it could be okay experience. It could be very negative experience. Be cautious. Make sure you want to play with those people. Talk to them. Tell them what you have in mind. Make sure they're aware of the game you want to play in. The story you want to tell, before you just accept them, before they just accept you, and go from there. So the next one. Was I in the wrong? So I'm pretty new to D&D, enjoyed a campaign. I made my character, told the DM about him and how I was going to play him, and he said that was fine. So my last session, I played my character how I said I was, and the DM got mad because I learned something that I wasn't meant to from another player character. And I tried to kill an orphan child for stealing a gold piece from me in the game, but later learned that was murder hoboing, which was MB. What? Murder hoboing, I guess? I don't know. And I was going MB, and I wasn't going to do that again. But at the same time, my character traits and personality is what my character would done. The rest of the party understood that and was okay with me playing my character. More quite and a little cringe that was later going to talk more as he... Am I reading this wrong? The rest of the party understood that and was okay with me playing my character more quiet and a little cringe that was later going to talk more as he got used to the party. Okay. My party said they were okay with my still playing and how I was going to play for later on, but the DM kicked me out, saying he didn't like my character and said I was playing it wrong. When I tried to explain to the DM why I played my character in that way, he said that I was in the wrong. Was I in the wrong? He also didn't want to give me another chance to continue playing after I messed up once. Okay, so grammar, spelling aside, English might not be their first language. No judgment. So what it looks like is, and this is something I kind of always have a little bit of an issue with too. This player created a character. This character's reaction to losing one gold piece, stealing a gold piece, was straight up murdering an orphan child. Holy jeez. So I don't know what game, what world, what scenario you're playing in, but that is a harsh consequence to an orphan child, which I'm going to think is hungry. So, wow. Now, people often say, and I've had it happen before, well, I'm just playing my character. I'm just playing my character. And I get that. You create a character, you fall in love with the character, you create a backstory, you do so much work. I totally understand how you wanting to play that character to its fullest. But you need to chill out a little bit. You need to take a step back and relax. Sometimes playing your character to its fullest isn't the best thing to do. And I know I'll catch flack for it, and I know some people will disagree, and that's fine. But you gotta calm down. It's a game. It's a fun game. And people want to have fun. Murdering orphan children is not my idea of fun. I'm running an evil campaign, and even I think that is another level, man. Okay, so I digress. The DM kicked him out of the party. Understandable. The DM was probably a little upset, didn't like how the character or player was behaving, and could see some problems down the road. This is where the DM, and hopefully they're experienced, but obviously not because they didn't do this, steps up and takes the player aside. He goes, hey man, I understand you want to play your character. I understand that your character, in this grim, dark scenario he's in, would kill orphan children for stealing a gold piece. But you got to calm down a little bit. Find a little bit of a happy medium here. You have an orphan child. He managed to steal the gold from you. Maybe use him as an underling. Take him under your wing. Turn him against other people. Use him as an information broker. There's a lot of options you could take. But tell him, like, hey, I'm not really comfortable with you killing kids in my game. That's not the game I want to run. I think you need to tone it down a little bit. And that's fair. As a DM, you run a game, and you need to tell your players what's expected of them and what you expect of them. And if they agree with it, then great. The DM can say, hey, I expect this of you. And if you disagree, you don't play in the game. That's very simple. Nothing says you have to play in that person's game, and vice versa. If you are not seeing eye to eye with your DM, or if you're not seeing eye to eye with players, you can not play together. It's okay. So, I think there was a different way this could have gone. I don't agree with murdering orphans, even as an evil character, which I played before. But whatever. I think the DM kind of jumped the gun a little bit, and maybe he should have talked to the player, given him another chance, been like, hey, I just don't want something so, like, dark at my table. Who knows what the scenario is. Moving on to number 3. Organization. Okay, something a little bit lighter. Hello, friends. I'm a new DM and about to start my campaign in January with a group of friends. Congratulations. Good for you. I've been actively working on the world building for about 3 years. Very impressive. And I was wondering how I can organize all my different notes. Wow. Let me tell you. Primarily world building info, NPC info, puzzles, mysteries, PC lore, PC goals, etc. I'm autistic and using websites bothers me, very much stresses me out. I do like to do everything on paper. Perfect. Currently I have 7 notebooks full of info, and I'm finally ready to put them to paper in organization in an efficient way. Well, my friend, let me tell you exactly what you need. Notebooks and my personal favorite, sticky tags. That's right. You can't just have notebooks. You have to have sticky tags. I got a bunch right here. So, what I love to do is, I have a lot of them. I have this beautiful notebook in here. There it is. All these sticky tags. These little tags you can put in your notebooks. These smaller ones. And I have more here. And then I have notebooks. So what you want to do is you write in one notebook your main story. You write it out, everything you need and you want, and then you tag it, and you note the tags. So that way, as you go along, you know where everything is. Now, maybe your story is going to be long and you have a lot of world building. You're going to need multiple notebooks. That's okay. You have access to them. But understand where your players are in your world, where you need to focus and concentrate, and go with that. Also, on your DM screen, you can put sticky notes as well. You can put papers with bulldog clips and have them, which I think is really beneficial. So you have a lot of options. So don't ever feel like you need to just focus on one thing or two things. There's a lot of things you can do. So, moving on. New player looking for suggestions. All right. Hey, everyone. I'm looking at getting into D&D. Welcome. But I want to make sure I'm doing it the right way. There is no right or wrong way, brother. Either way works. I know I need to buy books. No, you don't. And whatnot. You do need to buy whatnot. But I'm not sure what I actually need. I do not want to DM. I just want to be a player. How dare you? For one, if you're coming in new, you're a DM. That's how it works. Just kidding. I'm not worried about costs. I just want to make sure I set myself up for success and have the best chance of enjoying the game. Thank you, everyone, in advance. Okay, new player. You're coming in. I want to play D&D. First off, you don't want to buy anything. That's not what you want to do. You want to go to a local game store and find a weekly Magic game open to new players. Or you want to find a local game that you can go and sit at. Or you want to go online and find an online game that will allow you to sit in and just watch. So once you do that, once you watch a couple of games, once you sit in for a couple of sessions, and you're like, this is what I want, then you can look at buying things. As a brand new player, not much is expected of you. And depending on the situation in which you're playing, maybe nothing is expected of you. If I have a new player sitting at my table, they just have to bring themselves. I have extra dice, I have the books, I have paper and pencil. As you get involved in Dungeons & Dragons, as it grows in your life, you're going to want to buy some stuff. What you want to buy? You want to buy some of your own dice. It's fine to borrow, and it happens, but it's also nice to provide your own. Then, you want to look at a player's handbook. You are the player. That's your handbook. After that, everything else is selective. You can buy your own miniature to represent your character. You can buy a notebook to put in notes. You can buy source books or third-party books. Dungeon Master Guide just to learn more about the system. Maps, whatever you want. So don't think you need to buy anything. Don't think there's a startup cost. There really isn't. There's options. And then it grows on you. Then you end up with a bookshelf full of things. And bags full of dice. And bins full of miniatures. Alright. This one caught my eye. Monetizing homebrew D&D story. I've been having the idea for a while now to do a 5e ruled solo play with basically everything homebrewed, but the base rules of gameplay, and write down the actions each dice roll gives as if it were written in a storybook. But I wanted to sell the book once done, and I was curious on what I can and can't use in the game rules to not get sued. So, I think what you want to do is go look at what other people are doing on Kickstarter. Kickstarter has a huge selection of third-party 5e supplement books. You can take a look, see what they're doing, what they're using, and go from there. I'm not 100% sure what exactly you want to do, but it's a D20 system you're playing in. A lot of different books have D20 systems. You can have a D20 system. It's okay. But that's how it would go. But do make sure to check into it. You want to see what you're going for, what you're limited to. Best character build for someone into football and new to D&D. I love football. So I have a friend I would like to introduce to D&D, but I don't know what character build would work best for them. Preferably a character build they can relate to and easily understand how to use. I don't think walking them through the character building progress would be beneficial because I feel they would be overwhelmed by all the versatility. Overall, I would like to keep the character versatility to a minimum to keep things simple. Character pool would be limited to human, elf, dwarf, halfling, orc, half-elf, Goliath, and tiefling. I would also consider warforged and or other animal-human creatures, however, I would have to expand my world to include them. So, why are you doing this? Why are you going out of your way to limit your friend's introduction into D&D? If you have a friend who wants to play Dungeons & Dragons, and they're like, hey, I heard you run a game, and I would love to play in it. I'm interested in Dungeons & Dragons. Can I join? So the first thing I would say is, have you ever played Dungeons & Dragons before? And they go, no, I haven't. And I go, well, come in and sit in on a session and see if you even like it. Because watching it on TV or watching videos is much different from actually being there and paying attention and playing the game. So say if they show up and they sit there and they watch and they go, oh my God, I love this. I want to play. Great. You need to make a character. Pencil. Eraser. Character sheet. Player's handbook. Crack it open. If somebody's going to be overwhelmed by the choices of a player's handbook, you're going to run into some problems of them playing in a game. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Let them take a look. Tell them. You really only need 2 things. A race and a class. Everything else fills in for itself afterwards. Have them take a look at the classes. See what they like. Advise them, hey, spellcasters can get kind of complicated. I would advise on something like a fighter, barbarian, rogue. You know, something pretty bread and butter. As for the races, you named off like 8 races. I don't know why you're saying you wanted to limit it. You said them all. So yeah, you're not letting them into monster manuals, but honestly, most people don't take from there anyways. So I don't really see what the issue is here. So they pick one. They go about creating the character, and then you just walk them through the build. You go, okay, this is a stat array. What do you want your character to be able to do? Swing swords? Easy peasy. Explain to them. Hit points. AC. Movement speed. It's fine. They'll pick it up. Then they start playing, and you just remind them. This is this is that. Maybe you have a little sheet for them for the actions they can do during combat. It's pretty simple. They'll get it. They'll watch. They'll learn from other people. It's fine. Don't handicap your friend. And the football thing is weird. How to start. Okay. Just doesn't get instantly removed and directed to a common help link. Me and my friends want to play D&D. Me and one other dude have a little experience, but neither as DM. I volunteered to be DM. Good on ya. Godspeed. We'll be convening in about a week to make characters, but beyond that, I have no idea how to do this. Where can I find a campaign and maybe some guidelines to help me understand? I wouldn't mind buying something, IRL too, if it'll help. Please and thank you for any pointers. Okay. You take it on the mantle of DM. God bless. You're going to want a Dungeon Master Guide. That's the truth. And then the next thing you're going to want is an adventure path. Now, there are a ton of them. Some of them free, some of them cost money, some of them easy, some of them harder. Honestly, for you and your friend, and if you have a couple other friends who've never really played, You can start on just like the really basic adventure path. It's great. It starts at level 1. It's the first thing they put out. It gives you everything. It's adventure, it's curiosity, it's combat. It has everything you want. Take a look at some of the adventure paths and see what piques your interest and what you want to play people in. As a dungeon master, you're running the game. You're facilitating the world for your players. You have to enjoy it. You have to be interested in wanting to do it. If you show up and you hate the setting you're in, they're going to feel it. And it's not going to be enjoyable. So you find what story you're willing to play for them. And tell them, like, hey man, I'm willing to play this. This is a scenario. Are you interested? And they go, yeah, man, that sounds great. Thank you so much. And you go, oh my God, thank you. And they go, you're the best ever. And you go, oh my God, thank you. I always knew it. And they go, how can we ever repay you? Like, just bring snacks. And that's great. And you move on. So you find the story you want to tell. Tell your players about it when they create characters. And ask them, hey, lean in. Lean into my story. And everything will go well. Hope this helped. Out of left field question, very optional. If you were to make a character based on a food, what food would it be? Additionally, what would its background be? Oh, and happy holidays. Okay. If I were to make a character based on food, what food would it be? Cauliflower. Make a character based on cauliflower. Tough, crumbly, farmer. You know, who's chipping away at the world. He's craggy and not so attractive. But he makes do. He makes do. How to navigate busy schedules as a DM. Oof. Tell me about it. Hi there. I'm a first-time DM running a homebrew campaign. Congratulations. Thank you for your sacrifice. My party has reached the halfway point of the first act, and I've ran into a bit of an issue. Oh no. I've been accepted into an internship for next year where I'll be working in education 3 times a week. On top of that, I will be working casually, and another job while also studying once a week. I have a fairly full plate, and this isn't what was on my cards when I first started writing the campaign. Tell me about it, man. This campaign is very broad and grand, and I probably overplanned it and overdid the world building. Happens to the best of us. The original plan saw the players traveling to multiple continents to uncover the story, and because of this broadness, session prep can take a lot of time. I'm unsure if I'll have time to prep for sessions that are this broad and keeping them meaningful and interesting. That's fair. Good for you. You want to provide a good product. I respect that. So I've given myself 2 options, and I'm looking to get some advice on the best route. Okay. So option 1, condense the campaign and make it more focused. Run 3 acts rather than 4 or 5, and move to a more linear campaign rather than a sandbox campaign. Understandable. Give your players less freedom. Concentrate on the story. Focus them up. I get it. Option 2, end the campaign and start anew. Whew. The sacrifice. I enjoy world building and maps making as a creative endeavor, so this won't be too hard as I have a couple campaign settings and stories I'd like to explore. I can create a campaign that is more focused and on a smaller scale with the ability to make it larger if I like. On top of that, I can use unused quests and assets from my current campaign rather than bidding everything. True. Keen to hear everyone's advice and see what people are thinking. This will obviously be something I consult with my players too, and I wanted to see what the greater community also thinks. Thank you for your response. Appreciate all the heaps. Have a great holiday season. All right, so this is the bane of all Dungeons and Dragons games, isn't it? Scheduling. So, option 1, option 2, and I have a little bit more to add. So, condense the campaign to make it more focused. I get that. More linear, less sandbox-like. Okay, you have a story to tell, respectfully. You want to tell that story, but do you want to limit its scope? Or do you want to save it? Do you cherish it enough that you want to protect it to make sure it's enjoyed in all its grandeur? Option 2, end the campaign, start anew. The option I prefer, truthfully. You have a vision. You've created something. How dare you think of limiting it, reducing its grandiose desires? I personally think if you know this is going to be a very busy year for you, you start again. Or, this is what I really want you to do. I want you to go to your players. I want you to tell them, I want to put a pause on our game. I'm going to be very busy. I have so much going on. One of you needs to run a game for 1 year. I can't. I'm too busy. I just want to play for a little while. It'll ensure that I have the time to play and still accomplish all the things I want. You're working 2 jobs, studying and an internship. You need time, my friend. Impose on your players that this would greatly help you. And that after the year is done, when your plate is less full, that you will return to the campaign and complete it to its entirety. You do a refresher, beautiful session where you all sit down and have dinner and recap everything that happened and start the game anew. It's my 2 cents. Last one. Am I allowed to freehand D&D? What does that mean? I've never really played D&D before, but it looks really fun. So I wanted to get into it. I'd love to DM a game. But I'm really unfamiliar with the rules and lores, and it all confuses me greatly. Especially the existence. I'd multiple editions. Is it acceptable just to make up my own rules and creatures and stuff and do it my own way? No, it's not. That's not Dungeons & Dragons. That's your role-playing game. And I don't mean that in a bad way. But you cannot make up your own stuff on the way and expect your players to know what is going on in here without writing it down. First off, multiple editions is an easy solve. Pick one edition. Go with that. They're frankly all in the D20 system. They have a lot of glaring similarities. But pick one. Guess what? They just released a 2024 edition of the Player's Handbook and Dungeon Guide. What a great place to start. Do not just wing it and expect your players to be okay with it or accepting of it. Because that's not how systems work. Sorry, it's just not. Now, can you make up your own creatures? Absolutely. Within the rules set by the game. Can you table rules certain things? Absolutely. But you need to notify the table. They must be aware of the change in rules. You can't be halfway through a session and go, surprise, this is how things work now. It's not fair, and your players will hate it. I'll tell you, man. You can make up rules as long as everyone's aware. You can create as long as everyone's aware. But I would strongly urge you to play with it in the system. There's a good reason why there's walls to the game, okay? You play within those walls and everything is fine. It sounds like to me you just kind of want to, show up to the table and figure it out. And that's just not the way it's going to work. It is what it is. Sorry if you don't like the answer. But that's all I have to say right now. I hope you guys enjoyed it. 10 questions from the D&D subreddit. Let me know if you like it. Like and subscribe. I really appreciate a comment. Tell me what you think of the content. You can check out my other video up in the top left. I talk about the new Artificer. It's pretty cool. Be making more content as we go. Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year. You have a good night.